Yes. So yesterday we were talking about keywords, and so for any programming language, keywords and data types are basic building blocks, right? So what and all data types we have in Python? So note it down: integer, float, complex, boolean, string. Write down in the same order, okay? First line we call it as fundamental data types. Integer, float, complex, boolean, string. So these things we call it as fundamental data types. Next, list, tuple, set, frozen set, dictionary, byte, byte array, range, none. I think as we discussed, we are going to spend on strings. We are going to spend some around 4 to 5 sessions. List also 4 to 5 sessions. Tuple 1 day. Set 2 days. Frozen set maybe half day. Yeah, frozen set is just a concept. When we're talking about set itself, we can cover that. And dictionary will be somewhere around 5 days. So bytes, byte array, range, and these are simple only. So in the middle of our sessions, we are going to cover those things. Done? Noted?
Yeah, done.
Done? Yeah. So there are 3 types of basic data types. So we can call it as basic data types or fundamental data types or primitive data types. So some people will, if you Google, right? So some people will say basic, some people will say fundamental, some people will say primitive data types. So we call it as fundamental data types. Okay, so Boolean type. So in Boolean again we have 2 types. Boolean means true and false. Yesterday we have seen, right, list of keywords. So what are the keywords which starts with capital letter? True, false, none. Only these 3 will start with capital letter. Rest everything will start with small letters only. So what are the fundamental data types? Boolean data types, which is true and false. Boolean means true and false. Numerical data types, integer, float, and complex. So actually complex, just remember we are not going to talk anything about complex numbers because we may not use complex numbers in our day-to-day programming. So if you guys are interested, maybe you can go through, but in general we don't use. Maybe in scientific applications, in such cases only we use complex. You might be remember in your school days we used to have complex numbers, some I plus 2j, something like that. The syntax of complex numbers. So whereas I is some real part and j is imaginary part. If you guys remember your school days mathematics. Okay. And second data types are complex data type. Complex data types means don't compare this complex. Numerical data type complex is different from these complex data types. So complex data types are built on these basic data types. That means, so fundamental data types are Boolean and numerical and string. So next, done, noted these things.
Yeah, done, sir.
Then yeah. So
Yes.
these complex data types mean these things: list, tuple, set, frozen set, and dictionary. These things we call it as complex data types. That means these complex data types are built on these fundamental data types. So what does it mean? Now let me show you quickly. So a equal to 10. What we call it as integer. Integer is what kind of data type? It is fundamental data type. So how we can ask? We can ask the type of a, right? So type of a is integer. And if I take some float value, So this is also fundamental data type. And if I take some string, this is how we represent string, right? So these are what we call it as fundamental data types. And also we have Boolean type also, right? Either true or false. This is true or false. And whereas complex data types means, what we are saying, complex data types are built on fundamental data types like list, tuple, set, frozen set, and dictionary. So what does it mean? So list means, so we represent in square brackets. No need to worry anything about it. We are going to spend good amount of time, around a week of time on list itself. Okay. So list we will maintain something like this. So my list will contain integers, float values, and string, like this. These things we call it as complex data types. Fundamental data types are integer, float, boolean, and complex data type. Whereas complex data type means complex types means list, frozen set, tuple, set, dictionary. All these are built on basic data types. So if you see here, my list is having all basic data types. It's a collection of combination of my basic data type. That's what we call it as complex data type. Okay. So no need to worry about these things. We are going to discuss in detail in upcoming sessions, right? So this is just for your reference. So there is no long data type available in Python 3. In Python 2, we were having some data type called long. If you see in this list, we don't have long. But in Python 2, we had a long data type. In Python 3, we have only int. So long, what's the difference between long and int means? So if you remember again in your first year when you are in degree or engineering, right? We used to have C programming language. At that time, integer, long, those data types are there, right? So small numbers, in simple words, small numbers we treat it as integer. If the number is big, we call it as long. We treat it as long data type. But in Python 3, we don't have anything called long data type. Whatever the size or whatever the bigger number it is, any number we treat it as integer only. And also there is no character data type available in Python. So even single character also will be treated as string only. So these 2 points, when we compare with other programming languages, just for your idea. And also if there is any certification exams or any written test, right? If you see someone is representing long any data type, there is no long data type. And also there is no character data type in Python. Long data type is available only Python 2. Long data type is not available in Python 3. So let me show you. See here, so long data type you are talking about, right? Some L equal to some bigger number. If we take any bigger number also, right? So it will be treated as integer only. In general, these kind of bigger numbers we treat it as long. But this is also int. Just be hold on 1 second. Okay. So this also, any bigger number also will be treated as integer only. And what is the second point? So even a single character also will be treated as string. Say this is now single character. In general, single character in other programming languages, right? So single character will be treated as what? Character data type. So now if we ask what is the type of S, this will also string. This is also string, not character data type. So if in Python 3 somewhere around in any certification exams or in any written test, right? If you see, they may give a number something like this, and they'll ask what is the type of this, what is the type of this L. So you should say it is integer only if it is Python 3, correct? And maybe so a question will be something like this. So they'll take only single character, and in the multiple options they may say what is the type of this variable. So whether it is a character or string or integer or float, something like that. So it is not character data type. It is also, even single character also will be treated as string only, not character data type. Okay, got it? Done? Noted? Yes, both of you done.
Yes, sir. Done.
Yeah. Uh, there is a power fluctuation. Maybe I may disconnect in middle. If I disconnect, please hold on. I'll connect back. Okay. Yes. Next is type conversion or typecasting. Type conversion or typecasting means converting one type of data to another data type. Like so, integer to float conversion or float to integer conversion, integer to string, string to integer, like that. So converting one data type to another data type. So in our day-to-day programming, there may be requirement where we need to convert one data type into another data types. So at that time, we can convert with the help of typecasting functions. So we have two different type conversions are there: implicit conversion and explicit conversion. Note it down. So implicit conversion means what? So Python virtual machine itself will take care of this conversion. As a programmer, we no need to do anything. So this is what we call implicit conversion. So what does it mean? Say now, here I take a as some, I'll take a is equal to some 10. Now what is the type of a? How to ask what is the type of a in Python? So type is a function to check what is the type of this variable, right? Now if I check what is the type of a, it will be of type integer. Now what I'll do is a equal to a plus some 10.45. Now what will be the value of a? It will be a float. Now if we ask again what is the type of a, it will be treated as what? It will be treated as float. This is what we call it as implicit type conversion, converting one data type into another data type based on the computation. Based on this, based on this, the data will be converted from one data type to another data type. So if you see here, we are not converting. Initially, a is of type integer. Now after this calculation, a will be of what? Float type. Python is dynamically typed, right? So now a will be of float. So are we converting from one type into another? No. Python will take care about these kind of conversions. So this is what we call it as implicit conversion, converting one data type to another data type. So if Python is doing, then we call it as implicit conversion. Whereas explicit conversion means programmer may need to do. So in our day-to-day programming, we may need to convert one data type to another data type in some cases. Okay, in such cases, we need to go for this explicit conversion. Explicit conversion, right? So what and all basic fundamental data types we have: integer, float, complex, and string. Correct. So complex data type we are not going to talk. So let's see about integer, float, and string. Now what is the value I have? A equal to, I'll be having some 10, right? So I want to convert this value a, this a into float value, right? So now if I ask what is the type, with the help of type function we can ask, right? Type of a is integer. Now I want to convert this to float data type. How to convert? We have a function called float. Float of float of which variable you want to convert. Float of a. Now see, it will be converted to float. It will be converted to float. And now I want to convert into string. So now I have a as 10. Okay, I want to convert this into string data type. String data type. So string means how will be represented? String will be represented in double quotes or single quotes. Got it? Now how to convert str string of a? Now it will be converted as string, right? So actually better thing is a equal to uh, str of a. Now if you see a value, it is of type string. Now if I ask type of a will be string. Now let me convert it back to integer. See, a equal to int of a. Now a will be of integer type. If I want to convert into float, a equal to float of a. Now a value will be 10.0. So type of a will be float. It is of type float. This is what we call it as explicit conversion. if programmer wants to convert one type of data to another type, then we will be going for typecasting functions. So what are the typecasting functions we have? Okay, maybe somewhere here I'll write down. Okay, so typecasting function, if you want to convert into integer, then this is the typecasting function to convert into integer. If I want to convert any data type to float, then we use float function. Float of integer of your variable name, your variable, float of variable. If I want to convert into complex, then complex of your variable name, right? Next, if you want to convert into Boolean type, bool of your variable. If you want to convert into string type, str of your variable name. These are the typecasting functions. Typecasting function. Okay. So out of these things, again, what you need to remember is what and all are supported. So now what and all data types we have? Integer, float, complex, Boolean, and string types we have. These are the basic data types, correct? So can you convert integer? If I have my integer, can we convert integer to float, integer to complex, integer to Boolean, and integer to string? And same way, if you have float data type, can you convert float into integer, float into complex, float into Boolean, float into string? Right? And if you have string type, can you convert string into Boolean, complex, float, and integer? Right? So these things you may need to remember. Let us see now. Okay. So these are important if you are planning for your any certification. Right? And if you are fresher, if there is any Python written test, right? Maybe in such cases you may find these things. But if you are planning for certification, definitely there may be a questions on this. Okay. Now, how many functions we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Because we have 5 fundamental data types, right? Same way we have, and it is easy to remember these functions also, correct? Integer, if you want to convert your data to int, then int is the function. If you want to convert into float, float is a function. Complex is a function. Boolean, bool, string, str, correct? Now, let us see. So we have seen integer to float and float to string. Now, maybe just note down this, right? Instead of maybe noting down, just take a pic of this. So which are valid and which are invalid. So complex, converting complex type to integer is not valid. Converting complex to float is invalid. Rest everything is valid, but in case of string, converting string to integer, converting string to float, there is some condition. So how you need to read this table is the first row, first row is there, right? Let me find. So this is converting integer to integer, converting float to integer, converting complex to integer, right? Converting Boolean to this, converting string to integer, converting string to float, converting string to complex type, like this. Take a pic of this, maybe you can't note it down, it takes time, right? So complex anyway we are not going to discuss. If you guys are interested, then go for it. If you see this table, you can convert anything to any data type to any other data type. Like integer to int you can convert, integer to float you can convert, integer to complex you can convert, integer to Boolean you can convert, and integer to string also you can convert. But there are some conditions are there where if you convert your string data to integer and if your string data to float, there is a condition is there. So what is that? Now let us see. Maybe let me take again some more examples, right? So let me have, okay. So again, let me take some a equal to 10, right? So if you see this table, right? You can convert integer to integer, integer to float, integer to complex, integer to boolean, and integer to string. Now let us see. I'll convert to all the types. Now int, int. So int to integer conversion, anyway it is valid. Correct? There is nothing to do, but definitely you can apply integer to integer. All right. Next, integer to float. You can convert. Now the value will be float. So in general, if you want to use this, right, you assign it to a variable like this. Okay. Now just to know what is this? This is interpreted mode. Just we are asking, if I convert into float, what will be the value? But it will not do any changes to a here, because a will be as it is. But if you do a equal to float a, then the value of a will be modified. Okay. Now I'll take it back. Right. Now I converted to float and see. Right. Now I'll convert this to Boolean type. Boolean type means what? Either true or false. Correct. So if I convert this to Boolean, then it will say either true or false. Now it is true. Right. So what and all cases it will return true, what and all cases it will return false, I'll discuss. Right. For now, just look at it. We can convert this. And now I'll convert this to string, str of a. So it will be converted into string. Either we can display in single quotes or double quotes. And also we can convert into complex type also, right? Complex of 10 plus 0j. This is real part and this is imaginary part, something like that. And what else we have? Str, boolean, we converted all this. And maybe let's take one more example. Let's take float. Float equals to 10.45. This is of type what? This is of type float. Correct. Now let me convert this to integer. Integer of f, which is valid. Float to float, which is valid. Float to complex, which is valid. 10.545 plus 0j. And boolean of float to boolean, which is valid. It is returning as true. And next final last one is float to string. This is also valid. Now this will be treated as 10.45 is now string type. How we can say it is string or not? It will be enclosed in single quotes. Right. Next. Following everyone?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Next. So if you see the table, there is something when we convert from string to integer, there are some points are there. What are they? Now integer or float means what? Only numeric data will be present. Correct? Integer means, right? So only numerical data. That means only numbers will be there in integer and float. Now I'll take some string as, okay. So string means anything can be a string, right? So I'll take some 10 as this is my string, okay. Type of s is string. Now if I convert this to integer, which is properly valid, it will be 10. If I convert this to float, which is properly valid, 10.0. But say I have a string something like this, right? So can I convert this to integer? No, because integer means what? What are the basic rules of integer and float? Only numeric data will be present, right? Now if I convert Python is a string which is having characters, alphabets. Can I convert this to integer? No, I can't convert this to integer, because integer means only value with base 10, integer type, decimal data. That type of data only we can convert. Now this is my s. Now I can't convert this to also float. Oh, sorry, float of s. This also I can't convert, because it is very basic fundamental thing, right? So if I want to convert from one to another data type, so string is this, I want to convert this to integer. Is it possible? No, because we have alphabets. Whether integer and float, numerical data will contain any alphabets? No, right? So what are the numerical data? 0 to 9, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. These are the numerical data. And if I have in the string, if I have this combination, then only I can convert into string or integer. Otherwise, we cannot convert. So that is what we were talking about here. String to integer, it is valid, but it is valid. String to integer we can convert, but if my string is having only numerical data, then only I can convert. String to float, this also we can convert, but if my string is having only numerical data, then only we can convert. If my string is having character data, that we can't convert because it is not following the rules of integer and float. It is not following the rules, correct? Integer means it will have only numbers. Float means it will be having only numbers, decimal numbers, integer numbers. Everyone understood this point? Converting from string to integer and float to, sorry, string to float. It is valid, but if the string contains only numerical data, then only we can convert. Is this point clear to everyone? Any questions here? This is something important in certification.
Yeah, it's clear, sir.
Okay. What about you, Navya?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yeah, clear.
good. Okay, good. Thank you. Okay. So this is about type conversion, converting your one data type to another data type, right? So actually, in simple words, we can say if you ignore complex type, we can convert any data type to any data type. But in case of string, there is some condition. If your string contains only numeric data, then only you can convert. Otherwise, no. And complex to integer is not valid. Complex to integer is not valid. Complex to float also not valid. Okay, no need to worry much. If you are interested, then you can definitely just go back and see, or just remember, complex to integer we can't convert, complex to float also we can't convert, right? Next. Okay. Before that, I'll show you how to write a Python program, right? So where we need to write our Python program, when you install your Python, right? So what and all you can see, right? So you see Python interpreter. This is Python interpreter. So whatever we were talking till now, right? Whatever I was showing, and also you can see IDLE once you install your Python, right? So this is what your integrated IDLE means, integrated development learning environment. Let it open. So so Python is giving some default IDE. Like this, you have plenty of IDEs are there, like Eclipse, PyCharm, Atom, Jupyter Notebook. Like that, there are plenty of IDEs are there, but don't use any of the IDEs, right? So if you want to write a program, go to new file and write. I'm not showing these things, okay? Because we will practice with only Notepad. Okay, let me open a Notepad and write down your program here. Okay, so basic program, some a equal to 10, right? So how to b equal to some 20 and c equal to a plus b. This is properly valid Python program, correct? Just like a mathematics we are doing, right? So how to print the result? Okay, just for now, just see. Anyway, we are going to talk about input output functions, how to use print and how to use output functions. Okay, something like this. So the result or the result equal to, all right, so comma c. Now, yeah, sorry. So this is your Python program. Okay, so just like say, maybe you can note down this and you can try this. No need to worry about print statement and all. So we have not yet discussed, we will discuss in detail. Okay, so how to save this program? Okay, so you have written your program in Notepad and file. You know how to save any file, right? So save as. Okay, so give some name to your Python program, maybe here. Okay, some add my program, what it is doing, add, right? So add dot extension of your program should be .py. Okay, this is what you need to remember. Okay, so already exist. Okay, replace it, right? Now, right? So you have written your program and you saved your program. So how to save any notepad or any wordpad, we know, right? So save, but the extension of this program should be add your name, program name, and .py. .py should be your extension, right? Next, so how to run this program? Okay, so maybe go here to notepad. If you guys are very familiar with Windows, right, then it is easy for you, right? So just click on here, go to just type cmd. So now you are at desktop, and if you see what and all files are there, whether your program is there or not, add.py, this is what we have written, right? So how to run this program? So running your program is with the help of Python followed by your program name. See, the result is 30. This is how you need to save your program. This is how you need to run your program. Any questions or any doubts how to save and how to run your program after? So this is valid only if you install Python. Okay, so first you need to install Python and then do this. Python followed by your program name. So what and all things you need to remember? So your program extension must be .py, and how to run your program? Python followed by your program name. So how to check whether your Python is installed or not? So if you go here and if you type Python, there two things will be there. This Python interpreter will be there and Python IDE also will be there. Or in simple check also, so go to your command prompt and just type Python. So it will enter into Python mode. So this way also you can check whether your Python is installed properly or not. If Python is installed, then only you can see this Python prompt, otherwise no. So it will show you what is the version. This is latest version 3.9.6 and so on. Okay, so this is how you need to run your Python code, right? So what you will do is same way I've written for addition, right? Maybe you can write, right, for multiplication, division, and modular division, and subtraction. Write program like this, write these 5 to 6 programs, and just for practice purpose. Okay, so follow the same way, print, use the same way. Maybe you can give, this is what we call it as informational statement. So the best informational statement here is the addition of two numbers, something like this, equal to the multiplication of two numbers equal to the division of two numbers equal to the subtraction of two numbers equal to something like this. This should be a proper informational statement. Okay, write down these different programs and try it. Is that okay? Everyone clear how to save your program and how to run your program?
Yes, sir.
Navya, looks like you're talking something but I can't hear you. Your voice is too low, I think. Okay. And Madhvi,
Yeah, yes, sir.
all right, yeah, so I'll stop here today. Okay, Navya, fine. So I'll stop here today. So tomorrow, try to write down these basic programs, and if you face any problems, let me know. So tomorrow we'll continue with a concept called what is object and what is object reusability, what is mutable and immutable, which is very, very important. Okay, yeah. So if no questions, I'll stop here today. Okay, yes. Bye for today. Have a good day.